my life, I've been a performer, a musician, beloved and celebrated by all. But I have a secret. I'm also a playground for sprites and spirits and... worse. The voice that rings inside me now is darker than any that came before. Almost caused a bunch of my fans to rip each other to pieces. But you can trust me. I've got this under control. Step 1. Find out who or what is trying to take control of my mind. Step 2. Make it sorry it ever tried.
Oh, don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not. Yet when I emerged from my completely unjustified imprisonment, I found them gone. Our culture forgotten. Any trace of the world I knew all but obliterated. I must even hide my true face beneath an ever-shifting mask for fear you savages will attack me. That is how I wander this strange world, trying to uncover the truth about a history you primitive people never even knew existed.
Famed, of course, for my unique red skin and unparalleled skills as a general of the House of War, I, the Red Prince, was raised within the vast palaces of the fabled Forbidden City. I was destined to become the next emperor. But my ambitions suffered a bit of a setback when I fell from grace for cavorting with demons. Now, I'm exiled and hunted by assassins. But I assure you, I remain undaunted and as determined as ever to claim my rightful throne.
I used to be a slave, kept under the thumb of the master, the bastard that made me hunt down my own kin. How did he do that, you ask? With the living scar you see on my cheek, this horror that takes no more than a song sung by Master Dearest to control my very thoughts. But now the tables have turned. I broke my shackles, and when I finally find him, I will make the master sing a very different kind of song.
Once I was a crusader for the Divine Order. I pledged my life to Lucian the Divine. The war changed everything. He sent me to save the elves I grew up amongst. I arrived too late. Lucian ordered the use of death fog against the Black Ring, annihilating everyone I once knew in the process. Now I'm a mercenary killer, one of the infamous Lone Wolves. And my next target is none other than Lucian's own son.
Oh. I was just thinking about someone I used to know. My cousin. The Queen, in fact. A tyrant. I tried to stop her, but things don't always go according to plan. She cast me out to a forgotten island, and made short work of my allies, too. Lucky for me, I was able to commandeer a ship, and began a new life for myself, out on the high seas. Aye, but I hear that the Queen is at it again. And there's something darker behind her madcap schemes this time. If I don't stop her, I don't know who will.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
Still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry. The sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now. No need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
What a dismal way to wake. In the belly of the beast. Let's see if I can grope my way out. An animal pen? How utterly charming.
No known associates. In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with the others. It seems as though there's a pattern in the blood flow. That can't be natural.
What a well of knowledge this tome is. Dallas is such a dear lending it to me. why you're looking a bit more chipper.
No known associates.
Yes.
In
Looks
fact,
like
he
that
seemed
collar fits
quite
you snugly
averse to
enough.
spending
There
time
you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Dungeon? You have the gall to call my laboratory a dungeon? I'd be quite annoyed with you if you didn't look so honestly perplexed.
Did the murderer take him into this?
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good girl, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic.
Good gods. There's...
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass.
My, these smelling salts are strong
Behind the
stuff.
magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. Aren't you enterprising? I'll let Waters tell you no herself. Go ahead. She with the body.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. I thought as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Thanks. I just want to catch whoever did this before they hurt anyone else.
Be good, you scallywags. Ah, there you are. Wife. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope. Trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
When you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
I'm inspecting your teeth, in case that wasn't spectacularly obvious. There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep
Oh, goodness, no. And don't even mention the demon's testes that are turnips. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
You think me mad?
mad.
Yes, well, I'll count that as a no, shall I? On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after.
I thought you'd end up a prison guard.
The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate. As per your own testimony, you can groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle and the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry. My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of my disheartening refusal to sink in. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for a position in a lesser household than mine. You keep dreaming, you hear?
It was one of them. I know it.
Did you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to
I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-stories.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this trampy-fan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug. balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks. Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You, elf, what's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Seems to me you should be a little more afraid. There's a killer about, after all.
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, Ghetto. You hear that?
That right? I always knew you'd turn up rotten Ben Best.
The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And? Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close. There now, just like that. Squeak! Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There, you heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, Ghetto. Good news. No, you beautiful idiot. That wasn't any rat. It was the wheel. Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we'd been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with him.
Ah, so you've eyes as well as ears, eh? You'll go far, mate. Even here. Yeah, no indeed, kiddo. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all, thank ye kindly, kiddo.
Got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with him.
Did you see the body? They ought to let you taste a bit. Maybe you'd find out who done it.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out
Here's
of
the register, ma'am. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far? I'm glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
Keep those bolts trained on her.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
What happened? Must have been the turnips. Water? Wine, for goodness sake! Oh.
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into unconsciousness. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. He is stock still. You can't see if he's living or dead. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but oh. Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. Under his shaggy hair, you can see green eyes fluttering as if in a nightmare. A low whine escapes his lips. His eyes flicker open, but he doesn't register your presence at all.
Lucien. Lucien.
Ifan cries out. Then his eyes fall closed again. No matter how much you shake him now, he cannot be roused. The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound. Empty. The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse. Dark, greyish-black clouds swirl through them.
No.
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards.
Thank the gods. By divine grace, who was that howling?
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer! Like you don't know? Mutiny! Did that witch fix your collar too? Your lies end...
need to get off this wreck, and quick. A lifeboat. That means there's still a chance.
Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
They said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time to get the hell out of here.
Thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound.
If you can walk, get yourself up the ladder. There's a wait. Voidwoken!
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
I thought Voidwoken was supposed to be scary.
They who are about to triumph salute you.
I've faced worse. Glory is mine.
It's Magister Siwan, the one who put on this damn collar. Sounds like she needs...
We need to wait.
There's no time.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
I've danced with death before, but that was a particularly intimate waltz. I suppose I'm the lone survivor. How jolly.
Brachus Rex, ruler to some, tyrant to others, long dead to all. All you're good for now, Brachus, is to provide some shade from the sun.
You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red color. Could he be... Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist. You lock eyes with his, two smouldering embers that sizzle your very soul.
I did survive, yes. And chances are I wouldn't have, had you not returned to the aid of your fellow passengers down in that dreadful hold. You have my gratitude.
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
Yes, I'm sure you've all the makings of a hero and all that, but let's not get carried away, shall we? Now then, if there's nothing further... I'm sure I don't mean to sound condescending, but I had thought it quite self-evident I was gazing out over the waves.
He sighs dramatically.
Tell me. What do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? Judging by the dark pools that are your eyes, I'd say you're seeing yourself.
He looks out over the water once more, and so do you. A few tranquil moments pass as the waves lap against your thoughts.
As for myself, when I consider this vast expanse before us, I see an empire. I see continents dotted with mighty cities. And shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that formed my paradise. Lost. What do you mean, what do I mean? I mean just what I say. I had a very actual empire that I lost.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended, he stares at you with utter incredulity.
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. Or do you really mean to tell me you don't know who I am? The very same. I am the Red Prince, the All-Conqueror, the World-Tamer, the Spouse of the Sun. Of course you know me.
There's a brief moment's pause, during which his grandiloquent pose deflates ever so slightly.
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in between all-conquering and world-taming opportunities at the moment. The grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. For the throne I was destined, and my throne I shall have. Truly. A kind offer indeed. And you've already proven to be trustworthy enough. You came back for the others on that ship, after all. Fine, I accept. On one condition. For reasons I'll not disclose right now, it is imperative that I should meet with a dreamer, one of the mystics of my kind. I've reason to believe one of them may be present on this island. Promise me we'll look for him, and I'll extend you the blessing of my company. Jolly good. So, now that that's settled, first things first. Even if you are as versed in the art of eloquence as I am, that our swords will be doing a lot of the talking from here on out goes without saying. As a born fighter, I prefer the perfection of the blade myself. But I'm well acquainted with the secrets of magic, and yes, even subterfuge. What say you? Very well. Onwards then to victory or death.
The Red Prince nods and gives you a smile that wavers ever so delicately between courtesy and contempt.
Now, as you're aware, you'll be traveling with a prince. Proper forms of address include Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, or if you're feeling particularly frivolous, Milord. As your luck would have it, I seem to be fresh out of luggage, so you won't be required to carry my belongings. Of course, there are other forms of protocol to bear in mind, but I'll see to it you'll pick up the rest as we go. So, without further ado, let up...